and Environment Committee, those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Call on private and local order of the day number 2.
Mount Maunganui Borough Reclamation and Empowering Act Repeal Bill, first reading.
Speaker.
Te ura Flavel.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker, kia ora tātou e te whare. Mr. Speaker, I move that the Mount Maunganui Borough Reclamation and Empowering Act Repeal Bill be now read a first time. I intend to move at the appropriate time that the bill be considered by the Local Government and Environment Committee. I hihi ko te huira ki runga o kōpū kairoa. Papa te whaititiri ki runga o maunga mana. Papa ki tuana nā tai ki karikari. Te tere o te waitao. Whakapapa paunamu te tāhuna o rangataua. I whakanuku hia, i whakaneke hia, ki tai wiwi, ki tai wawa, ki te tai papaki o ne pū, ki te whaiau, ki te ao marama, tihe Māori ora. Mr. Speaker, can I start by saying that I'm honoured to sponsor this very important bill into this House. What is really pleasing to me is how the Council and mana whenua have come together to bring about a positive outcome. I want to say congratulations to the Tauranga City Council and Ngā Pōtiki for showing the way. Mr. Speaker, the purpose of this bill is to repeal the Mount Maunganui Borough Reclamation and Empowering Act 1975. This bill, for members in the House, takes us back to another time, some 40 years ago in 1972, when the Mount Maunganui Borough Council proposed a sewage disposal scheme. Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order. A te ura Flavel.
Yeah, well, I appreciate there's allowed to be some banter here, but actually it'd be good if the banter was about on the bill as opposed to something else. So could I ask that I could be given a little bit of leeway in being able to present this kōrero? There's a lot of people listening back in Tauranga Moana who think it's quite important, and I'd like to think that the House thinks so as well.
Speaking to the point of order, Honourable John Banks.
Sick and tired of the inane interjections, and we ask you, sir, to give this learned member an opportunity. I'm sitting beside him, I'm interested in what he's got to say. Give him a fair go, and if they want to go away and do something else in their spare time, they should. But this is Parliament, it's not a kindergarten.
Order. The House has been in reasonably light-hearted mode this evening. There have been interjections at times, they have been over the top. I'd just ask members to show some courtesy.
Point of order.
Point of order, Clayton Cosgrove.
Mr. Speaker, I'd just like you to affirm your ruling in respect of conduct in this House. When that member was on the telephone, we thought he'd fallen asleep or fallen off his perch. But he was on the telephone for about 10 minutes in the middle of speeches, sir.
Thank you. That member was not creating any disturbance whatsoever. Te ura Flavel. I've already ruled on it. Please sit down.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
A separate point of order?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, you have had points of order from Mr. Flavel and Mr. Banks on conduct. I've raised a legitimate point, which is a rule, and I invite you to rule on it, sir.
I have ruled on it. But I'll just say this, that when members raise points of order, they're not opportunities to attack other members of the House. And in that regard, one of the people speaking to the points of order did use that as an opportunity to degrade other members of the House, and that is not appropriate. Te ura Flavel.
Back to the crook, Banksy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I just start again that this bill takes us back to another time, some 40 years ago, 1972, when the Mount Maunganui Borough Council proposed a sewage disposal scheme that required substantial reclamation within the Rangataua estuary in Tauranga. So that council is now defunct, but the legacy of its actions remain. The legislation we're repealing today established the construction of oxidation ponds from which effluent would temporarily be discharged into Te Tāhuna o Rangataua, or what other people refer to as Rangataua estuary. So I want to just acknowledge the work done to ensure that Te Tāhuna o Rangataua, as of the 10th of May 2012, is now the official geographic name of this area, characterised by the tidal mudflats and sandy area of the inner southeast reaches of the Tauranga Harbour. So the Ngā Pōtiki Hapu of Tamapahore Marae submitted the proposal to alter the name Rangataua Bay to Te Tāhuna o Rangataua. Rangataua Bay was gazetted in 1974 as an area of Tauranga Harbour. It makes for great timeliness that at the same time we are adopting the new official name. We are also repealing the legislation of this time. So going back a little bit, the 1972 proposal I referred earlier would have eventually be supported by the construction of an ocean outfall at Papamoa. For Ngā Pōtiki and indeed Tauranga Māori, the discharge of human waste into the pristine Te Tāhuna o Rangataua that had served as a pātaka kai for centuries was and remains an issue that has caused deep resentment. The proposal was particularly abhorrent for Ngā Pōtiki, as the area designated for reclamation was part of the ancestral landscape. So for the purposes of the record, let me just go back a little bit to the history of this land. It traces its history back to the award of the Papamoa block to Ngā Pōtiki by Crown Commissioners in the 1880s. Ngā Pōtiki and its close relation to Te Tāhuna o Rangataua is celebrated through its rich oral traditions, including pepeha, whakatauki and waiata, and is demonstrated by the location of marae in close proximity to the shoreline. So the deep relationship where the health of one is believed to be linked with the health of the other and vice versa was referred to in many briefs of evidence submitted by Ngā Pōtiki Kaumātua to the Waitangi Tribunal held at Mangataua Marae in 2000. Throughout the early 1970s, the late Paraone Rewiti, MP for Eastern Māori, and Wiremu Ohe, Chairman of the Tauranga Māori Executive, on behalf of Tangata Whenua, were particularly vocal in the opposition to the Mount Maunganui Borough Council's proposal. And even the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries and the Ministry of Transport also opposed the proposal to reclaim foreshore and seabed. All recognise, sir, the importance of protecting an asset of significant environmental and cultural value and maintaining water quality. An environmental impact report entitled Crown Acquisition and Desecration of Ngā Pōtiki Land 1999, commissioned by the Waitangi Tribunal, acknowledged that, quote, a flourishing ecosystem on the tidal flats would be lost, end of quote, through the reclamation, but claimed that the effects of the oxidation ponds would be minor. This is a really damning statement, sir, that adds to the history of this bill, and I'd have to say that as the local member for Wairiki, I'm pleased that we are at long last making efforts to rectify this, to make something that was wrong, make it right. So the Commissioner for the Environment in a report around the same time concluded that the reclamation could not be justified because of the impact on the area and the possibility of other sites being used. On or about 1977, sir, the Mount Maunganui Borough Council completed the construction of the easement to enable the discharge of effluent into the ocean. But it gets worse. This easement was constructed through an ancient Ngā Pōtiki urupa or cemetery located in the sand dunes at Papamoa. Ngā Pōtiki again opposed this work on the grounds that human waste in close proximity to a wāhi tapu was grossly disrespectful and abhorrent. That effluent was to be discharged into the pristine ocean environment at Te Akau ki Papamoa or Papamoa Coast, which has for centuries served as a pātaka kai and was equally offensive. In 1989, the Mount Maunganui Borough Council and the Tauranga District Council were amalgamated and their sewage systems became jointly managed. Some 10 years later, the Tauranga City Council embarked on a consultation process with Ngā Pōtiki that eventually led to the establishment of extensive wetlands, in addition to other filters aimed at removing solids from wastewater prior to discharge into the ocean. However, the concerns on the part of Ngā Pōtiki around the discharge of effluent through its urupa have not been completely allayed even 4 decades later. Mr. Speaker, for Ngā Pōtiki, the reclamation of the foreshore and seabed, the construction and continued presence of oxidation ponds and discharge of effluent represents a failure by the Crown to protect Ngā Pōtiki and the ancestral landscape as provided in the Treaty of Waitangi. These issues form part of the settlement currently being negotiated with the Crown, as well as an application before the High Court seeking customary right order under the Coastal and Marine Takutai Moana Act 2004. So while the repeal of the Mount Maunganui Borough Empowering Act 1975 brings a certain amount of closure, it also represents a vindication of the many Ngā Pōtiki kaumātua in the 1970s and 80s who as a group protested against what they viewed as an invasion of their ancestral landscape and cultural values. In spite of their advocacy and widespread community opposition, legislation was enacted anyway. In the year 2000, Tauranga City Council established the Tangata Whenua Tauranga City Council Standing Committee to facilitate improved engagement between Māori and the Council. In 2004, Tauranga City Council established the Tauranga Moana Tangata Whenua Committee to encourage numerous hapua of Tauranga Moana to engage with the Council. In 2006, Tauranga City Council established the Wastewater Management Review Committee, comprising of elected councillors and appointed tangata whenua representatives. Te Runanga o Ngai Te Rangi Iwi Trust and Ngāti Ranginui are each represented by one person, and Ngā Pōtiki represented by two people, reflecting the significance of issues relating to the area. So, Ngā Pōtiki say they enjoy a good relationship with Tauranga City Council based on mutual respect, underpinned by their relationship as treaty partners. The joint approach by Ngā Pōtiki and the Tauranga City Council to Parliament represents the latest initiative reflecting the commitment on the part of both parties to work together collaboratively and constructively. It will have the effect of helping to heal the past and strengthen an already positive relationship. It is therefore most appropriate, sir, that Ngā Pōtiki and the Tauranga City Council jointly sponsor the application to Parliament to repeal the legislation, and the Māori Party is delighted to stand alongside them and to commend this bill to the House.
The question is that the motion be agreed to.
Mr. Speaker.
Nikki Kay.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very pleased to be